The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness. I'm Rob Rosenthal, your host, here live, coming to you live on the 8th day of May, 2019. I'm coming to you from New York City, New York, where it is currently quite pleasant on the 8th of May. It's a good time of year here, by the way, if you're anywhere in anywhere in the world, because this is internet radio. I mean, you know, people can be listening to this thing from Russia and Fiji and California, wherever. But the point is that it's a lovely time of year to be in New York City, and it's before it's going to get super crowded, right? I mean, July and August, it's not only going to be kind of hot, but there's a very hefty tourism business here. So if you're thinking about making a trip somewhere, I'm just going to tell you that early mid-May, New York, the vibe is good, the weather is pleasant. You know, I mean, it's like mid-60s. The facilities are good. You know, the park is beautiful. The safety track record here is good. You know, crime is at historically low levels, generally speaking. You know, we got some decent food in this town. So anyway, before it gets all crowded, if you feel like breaking away, not a bad time to be in New York City. We also have, incidentally, some fine public transportation. Oh, sure, you can Uber your way around. But I spent a lot of time on the subway, which I'm mentioning only because I took a subway ride today, which was like a scene out of a horror movie, and it was almost like Twilight Zone. And I'm going to tell you, I love New York City transit. I mean, people like to complain about it, but it's really great. It's the fastest way to get between any 2 points in this town. It's generally clean. You know, the price is going to be less than any other mode of transportation unless you get on a city bike, which is fine too. So I'm not going to complain about the New York City subway system. I'm just going to say it was one of those weird days when I got on the subway car and I looked around and I thought, this is the Twilight Zone in here. You know, people just look like they were from some other place, man. I don't mean just foreigners. I mean freaks. I mean, you know, somebody twitching, somebody else with like hair lice. I don't know, it was a mad scene. On the other hand, the car was clean. The air conditioning was working super well. And it got me where I was going quickly for $2.75. Long way around that I'm coming to you from New York City. Let me tell you what's on the lineup for tonight's show. I'm going to talk about nuts. I know what you're thinking. I think I know what you're thinking. Everyone is nuts. So many people are nuts. The whole situation is nuts. And of course, I'm not talking about any of those kind of nuts. I'm not talking about people nuts. I'm talking about nuts that you eat. This is All You Can Eat, the podcast about deliciousness. So when I'm talking about nuts, I'm not talking about your ex-brother-in-law. I am talking literally about the kind of nuts that we eat. There's a reason for it, by the way. It's just like nuts didn't just, come out of the thin blue air. It's just that I was sent some nuts. Nuts that I had never heard of before. Super nuts, they actually call them. Literally, on the package, I'm looking at it right now. Super nuts of the savannah. Good for you, good for the planet. We'll get to the nuts in a second because it was just it reminded me that I actually am a person that likes a nut. I've thought about it. So we're going to talk about nuts on the show. I'm going to get to nuts in 1 second. I just will also tell you that I have from there some recommendations. It's an episode of Rob Recommends tonight because I've got, I don't know, in addition to the nuts that they sent me, I have some cast iron cookware. I have some chips that have been made from chicken breast. I've got a number of recommendations to make to you. And my recommendations, by the way, include recipes. And that's relevant because coming up this Sunday is Mother's Day, and you know it. You love your mother. And you know there's going to be food involved. If you're anywhere near your mother, there will be food in some celebratory fashion because you'll be eating together or taking mom out, or if you take my advice, you could cook something for your mother. You really could. So the things for tonight on the agenda: nuts, recommendations, recipes. And I just want to say that speaking of your mother and New York City, be aware that on, find the date right here, super organized this evening, on the date of June the 11th, which is a Tuesday night at 7 p.m., if you happen to be in and around New York City, yours truly, Rob Rosenthal, host of All You Can Eat, will be teaching a class on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. The subject is cross-cultural cuisine. And I've said in the, you can see in the brochure from the organization that distributes the kind of online courses, it says, when you live in one of the most diverse cities in the world, why not cook the melting pot, I say. Make fascinating multicultural mashups using ingredients and ideas from all across the culinary landscape. Menu may include poutine pizza, Korean turkey meatballs, I'm in for that, wasabi sliders, Asian tacos, Greek quesadillas, and a recipe, at least one of these anyway. Yeah, this recipe is right out of my book. It's a Japanese, Indian, and Mexican fusion. We sear tuna, sushi grade tuna, and we use ingredients that make it Mexican, Indian, and Japanese. So anyway, I'm mentioning my class on the 11th of June, 7 p.m. because it's a good gift, honestly. I mean, I would say that you could give the gift to your mom. She may take it the wrong way because she's going to say, I already know how to cook. I mean, what do I need to go to that for? Well, the answer to that is because it's fun and because I'm turning you on to the kind of cuisine that, maybe mom doesn't always, try or appreciate, or maybe she wants to see something new. Better give the class to your dad as a present to your mother, because your mother's doing all the cooking more times than not. I mean, that's changed since I'm the guy that does all the cooking here. But the point of the story is what? That if you want to give mom a gift, give it to the male in her life, or female for that matter, who should do some more cooking for your mom, because I'm going to be teaching the class. It's going to be fun. It's going to be informative. It's going to be entertaining. We're going to cook for a couple of hours in a big professional kitchen. And then at 9 o'clock, we're going to crack open a couple of bottles of wine and enjoy what we made. Well, that sounds good to me. Maybe it's because I'm starving. Well, also because I've done it before, so I know it's going to be fun. June the 11th. You want to know more about that? How would you find out? I guess you could email me, right? Send me an email, shortorterdad@gmail.com, and say, hey, tell me where I can sign up for that class, and I will. And I'll also post it on my kind of Twitter, Short Order Dad. Instagram, I am now the real Rob Rosenthal on Instagram. Find that, because I'll post something up there. Facebook, I have a Short Order Dad page, all available for you. So there's a class. That's one way to look at a Mother's Day gift. Another, by the way, and so it's the last self-promotion of the evening, is don't forget that I wrote Short Order Dad, the cookbook. Now, I know what you're thinking, that it belongs to Dad. I agree with you. You could wait another month and give it to your father, or some father, or a son, or anybody. I don't know why it's like so gender specific, other than I'm, a man. But I wrote a book basically that can make anybody better in the kitchen by using the fewest ingredients and the least effort and get the most taste out of it. The book is called Short Order Dad. You could give it to your dad. It's off Father's Day. That's in a month or so from now, June 20-something, like the third Sunday in June. But, Mother's Day, this coming Sunday, you go, hey, Ma, check out this book and give it to whoever you want to cook for you more. So there's another Mother's Day gift idea. And here's another one, by the way. It has nothing to do with me, but it does have to do with Mother's Day in New York, a restaurant called La Goulue, and that's Goulue, La Goulue. French and bistro-like, and it's been around a long time. It closed for a while. It's reopened. I haven't been. I'm going to tell you right up front that I have not been there in the newest, I should say, really, incarnation of the restaurant. But you can look at the reviews yourself. You can decide people really like the place. You're going to go there basically for classic, French brasserie food. What is it? It's going to be onion soup, and it's going to be baked goat cheese with some, smoked duck, crispy potatoes, and frise. It's going to be a salad with green beans and sun-dried tomatoes and black truffle dressing. It's going to be, those kind like French, beautiful French classics, La Goulue. But the reason I mention it is because on Mother's Day, there's probably a couple of spots left for their Mother's Day brunch. Menu's going to be served a la carte. The specials include leg of lamb, which I'm actually excited about because later on in this particular podcast, I'm going to tell you exactly how to make leg of lamb if you don't happen to go out for it. And it's great for Mother's Day. It's perfect. It's spring. It's meat. It's easy. It's delicious. Brunch menu at La Goulue, leg of lamb. Specialty cocktail is going to be a raspberry, limoncello, and prosecco cooler. I want one of those right now. Get yourself a half carafe of rosé if you want instead for $22. And every mom that shows up at La Goulue this coming Sunday for the Mother's Day brunch is going to be treated to a complimentary chocolate souffle, my friends. Chocolate souffle from their pastry chef. So, again, in and around New York, I got a cooking class, and in and around for Mother's Day, La Goulue, Goulue, look it up, make a reservation, tell them Rob sent you, enjoy that one. On to the subject of nuts, I like a good cashew. I like a roasted cashew, little kind of almost like a semicolon or a half a heart-shaped cashew. They're good when they're roasted, aren't they? All nuts, by the way, you should know this. Every single nut. And I can't imagine that there's really an exception to this, but every single nut is better in its roasted form than in its raw form because of, the process of caramelization. That toasting of it brings out more flavor. I like a macadamia, but they're like as expensive as filet mignon, and they're maybe like they're super rich, right? Like it's a real big nut, and it's expensive. And you think that's expensive? You get them when they're chocolate covered. Chocolate covered macadamia, that's a beautiful product though, but it's not an everyday nut. I like a peanut. I really. And I don't know if it's because I'm a purist or a simpleton or just I'm not a fancy dude. I can appreciate a macadamia. I like a peanut. I like a peanut that comes in the jar and it's dry roasted. That's fine. Not my favorite of them. I like better when you get them all like, in that little tin of cocktail peanuts. I could eat those compulsively. Generally with a martini on the side. I like those nuts, don't you? I mean, I can't be the only one. I mean, like just those toasted little peanuts. I remember eating them. We used to serve them, like at a cocktail party. We would serve them with we would put in raisins, either dark or golden, which I love. Sometimes we would throw in some butterscotch chips, but the salty, crunchy little peanut is a beautiful thing. I know and like peanut butter is beloved, so you understand where that comes from. At the end of the day, however, if I had to choose just one nut, Rob, you can only have one nut for the rest of your life. Oh, that's too bad. But I'll tell you what, make mine pistachio, and I want it in the shell. Don't sell me no already peeled pistachios. I mean, I could be lazy. People are lazy, but part of the joy of eating the pistachio is peeling it and sucking out that nut meat, as they call it. Love me some pistachio, but I got to be able to peel it and pop it. Yeah, those can be addictive, the cashews. But yeah, the peeling is part of the fun. In fact, even back to peanuts, the greatest, for me, peanut eating experience happens at the ball game, the baseball game. I mean, literally, if someone it's true. If someone says, "Hey, Rob, you want to go to the," in my case, it would be, "Hey, you want to go to the Met game?" And you have to think twice about that. But anyway, that aside, if I'm invited to a baseball game anywhere, anytime, I'm going to go, but I'm not going so much for the baseball as I am for the peanuts and beer. And part of the reason for that is because not only do I shell those lovely roasted peanuts that they sell, but here's what. Say what you want, people, but here's what. You eat peanuts at a ball game, you know where you throw the shells? Right on the ground. I mean, it's joyful. You don't have to aim, man. You open up that roasted that roasted nut there. It has two nuts in it, most of them, right? They have two individual nuts. They come with those little papery coverings. They're great. And then you toss the shell on the ground, and then you have 3 or 4 rounds of that, and then you sip on the cold beer. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's a game going on. That's nice, but I'm really here for the beer and nuts. So I get sent a package of nuts. I'm looking at them. I'm opening the package, smelling them, and I'll tell you what, they smell good. I get sent things, you know that. And it's for this reason. Because I'm going to report on them. And I will either, recommend them or not recommend them. Barukas, B-A-R-U, with an accent, K-A-S, Barukas, super nuts of the savannah. Good for you, good for the planet, delicious, crunchy, micronutrients, and antioxidants. Okay, so in a nutshell, everything on the front of this package is pretty much everything that you need to know about Barukas nuts. 1, the claim that they're super nuts, which means it's kind of like your next superfood, if you will. We keep discovering things. I didn't grow up with acai. Things are coming out of the woodwork that are supposedly superfoods. That's fine. And they come out of like the very rich part of the, Brazilian kind of rainforest. Like there's just a lot of stuff that originates out of there. That's where I think these are from, yeah? But it says on the package, good for you, okay. Good for the planet, I'll tell you why. Delicious, and I gotta be honest, I've tasted them. They're delicious. I'm surprised. I'm literally surprised at these things. I've never seen them before. They look like small almonds. I think on some level they probably are small almonds. They have a papery coating on them, like the ones we talked about a minute ago in the peanut shell. I'm going to crunch on one right now. I have been eating these now for about 3 weeks. Handful at a time. They're great. I really like them. I like them because they're like super crunchy. And they're great. They taste great. They don't have a lot of salt. If they had more salt, I wouldn't mind it. But I love that they kind of kept it clean because it really doesn't need the salt. To survive the extreme climate of their native South America, these nuts evolved to be unusually rich in protein, fiber, and antioxidants with fewer fat calories than any other nut. Now, that's bold, man. That's a claim. But they're not just good for you, they're good for the world. Barukas offer an amazing opportunity to reforest our planet and sustain indigenous communities on their land. It's a truly win all around for your health, the health of the planet, and the health of the world community. It's just I'm impressed. Simply the healthiest nuts in the world. 25% fewer fat calories, 6 grams of essential amino acids, antioxidants power over 3 times that of other nuts, more fiber than other nuts, and micronutrients including magnesium and other health boosting minerals. What we're discovering, just in general, and I don't know why we're discovering this thousands, if not millions of years later. I mean, I'm sure that the Chinese probably discovered this a long time ago. There's healing power. There's power in plants. There's power in the stuff that grows out of the ground. There may be still the cure for cancer growing somewhere before it all sadly becomes distinct, if that should come to pass. So what you're seeing basically is flower power, though, in a new way. Herbology, they might call it. How what's growing out of the ground is being used in ways not just about taste, but about health, about wellness. I think the greatest example right now, we've spoken about it before on the program, is what's happening with hemp and cannabis, how CBD, the derivative from our hemp plants, how that's becoming popular as a cure, if you will, for everything from kind of pain and anxiety to sleeplessness and actual diseases. I mean, there's one Epidiolex, I guess is what they call it, right? There's literally one FDA-approved medicine in this country for people that were suffering, I'm going to assume, from seizures, right? Epidiolex made, from CBD, right? So there's power coming out of plants and herbs and what's growing. Anyway, all that would be fun. And we're seeing it not only, kind of in terms of cannabis, but like how products in general are being infused. What kind of products? Food products? Yes. Lotions and creams? Yes. Products are being infused. Mezcal. Who did I have on recently? I've had a slew of great guests recently, but I had the woman whose name I can't pull up right now, who invented the gem and bolt mezcal. She crafts the mezcal, which comes from the root there in the desert, the mesquite root, but part of the distillation process includes the use of damiana, an herb. So we're seeing plants, flowers, seeds, nuts, herbs being used increasingly around the world for many reasons, not the least of which is health and well-being. If you're interested in, and I wouldn't care about any of that if I didn't like eating these nuts. Like these are, I'm sorry to crunch. I only wish I had the martini to accompany them. Where do you find Barukas? So let me help you with that. Oh, here we go. Barukas. That's funny. Barukas. Sorry, my mouth is full. The website is eatbarukas.com. Eatbarukas.com. You can get them on Instagram as well. Instagram, Eat Barukas. I like them. I think they're probably, by the way, I don't want to forget. I'm chewing on this bag. It's 12 ounces. It probably runs, I should have the price in front of me. I'm going to say like $13, like $12.95. Sounds like a lot, but here's the thing. You can't eat too many of these things. They're like rich. They fill you right up, but they're great. So that's your Barukas, and that's my discussion about nuts. Now, here's the answer: $13.95 for the 12-ounce bag, and there you go for your Barukas nuts. Yeah, roasted Baru almonds, they call them, packed with fiber, protein, magnesium, antioxidants, etc., etc. Received a product a little while ago, and it's a cast iron skillet that I got. So before I tell you about what they sent me, Marquette Castings we should just spend a second on cast iron, because the bottom line is very simple. If you don't have a cast iron pan, get one. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much cooking you do. Get yourself a cast iron pan. Why? Because it's great to cook with. Now, it's heavy. The heaviness is kind of what makes it great to cook with. It holds on to heat. It holds on to heat. It cooks well, like evenly, generally speaking, but it retains heat. It's a beautiful transfer of heat. You could use it on top of the stove, which is to say, over fire. You could put it in the oven at the highest possible temperature. That's no problem. It's good cooking material, and, face it, there's a good chance if you have one, you got it from your grandmother, because the things are virtually indestructible. I don't remember ever throwing a cast iron pan out or seeing one in anybody's garbage. These things last for a very long time. So you have a choice when you go out there in terms of, what your budget is. You can get a decent cast iron pan at your hardware store. You could spend more, but in any case, know that you're going to amortize the cost of that over a relatively long time. I mean, if you buy like a non-stick pan, at some point you're going to throw it away. I replace those all the time. So I buy those cheap because I know I'm going to replace them, right? I go into Costco, they're selling 3, whatever they are. I don't know. Tefal, there's 1,000 different brands. There's some are better than others, but I'm not here to talk about Tefal. I'm just saying those you throw away. They're disposable. Your non-stickers. They're disposable because once they get kind of scratched up, you really don't want to use them anymore. Not because things no longer don't stick, by now you're using oil, but because the material that makes them, the chemical material that makes them non-stick is not what you want to have in your body. So, for $20-$30, dump those and get others. They're not expensive. Cast iron, on the other hand, is going to last you basically, you give it down to your kids and your grandchildren. And I use it on high heat. Put it on top of the fire, man. Put that cast iron on, and when that thing is smoking, I put things in the pan. And those things don't always include, by the way, like oil, like lubrication. That's the thing about having a super hot cast iron, right? If I have some protein, by which I mean a chicken thigh, let's say, particularly a chicken's thigh with skin, right? You don't need lubrication in the pan, because once that skin hits the hot pan, boom! Going to start melting, or as we say in the food biz, rendering. The fat begins to melt out of the skin, and then you have a pan that is filled with, chicken fat. So super hot cast iron, I don't even put any lubrication in there. To be honest with you, I'm going to cook a piece of steak. Not necessary. There's fat in the steak. Season the steak with salt. Drop it into a hot cast iron, and then the only decision that you're going to make is your tolerance for smoke. The decision being, do I keep it on top of the stove here with a fan or a exhaust fan on or windows wide open because there's going to be some smoke? Or do I take this pan, sear my steak on both sides for two, depending on the thickness of the steak, for a couple of minutes until you look at it and you go, oh, that looks good. I like that sear. I can see that sear. And then you could, throw it into the oven and finish it in there. Trick with all cooking. Best ingredients you can. Don't mess them up too much. In this case, I'm talking 2 ingredients, and that counts salt, which I normally don't count, but a good piece of steak and some nice coarse salt, kosher salt, coarse salt, sea salt. All you need, baby. Sear it in your cast iron on top of the stove, high heat. Fire alarm goes off. Okay, I got it, everybody. There's no fire. Stick the pan in the oven. You can, smoke it up the oven. Who cares? But that's all you need, man. Now, here's the rule. Don't overcook it. Don't kill the steak. It's already dead. Don't do that again. Honestly, I've said it before, don't be insulted. If you're the kind of person that's going, I like my steak well done, I mean, you're entitled to it. You're not eating steak. I don't know what you're eating at that point, because it has very little relationship to the steak that the rest of us are having. In terms of taste, in terms of juice. If you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I don't want to get off on that. I'm telling you that if you want the steak tasting like steak, it's got to have a little redness in there. It's got to have a little juiciness in there. And here's the thing about cast iron and hot and heat. It's way too easy to overcook a good piece of meat, man. You got to pull it before it's ready because it's going to keep heating. It's going to keep cooking, whether you leave it in that pan or not. So I get sent here a cast iron pan from the folks over at Marquette Castings. You can find them online. Marquette is MARQUETTE Castings, CASTINGS, like a casting session, but it's Marquette Castings. They use a method of production which is different from the typical sand casting method that's used by nearly all modern cast iron skillet makers. Okay, you with me on this? Marquette's method is called investment casting. I'm guessing somebody must have put an investment into it. But it's a modern version of classic wax casting, and the result is that you get cast iron that is lighter weight. They call it ultra lightweight. That's a little bit of a stretch because cast iron by definition is a little bit hungry. They have made it what they're calling ultra lightweight, but it's certainly lighter weight than my normal cast iron pans. And they're smoother and lighter, it says, in their note to me than any other cast iron skillets. And they certainly, by the way, are smoother and lighter. Designed by the company from scratch in the company's Royal Oak, Michigan headquarters, available in different sizes. They come already seasoned, which is interesting, so they're ready to cook with. Normally when you buy cast iron, you actually, what they call, season it yourself. What does that mean? It means you kind of rub it around with like a neutral oil. You bake it for a while. You're creating essentially like a thin skin, if you will, a layer. But it doesn't matter. The cast iron, the beauty of cast iron is that the more you use it, the more seasoned, quote unquote, it becomes. It kind of carries its own, flavor, to be honest. I love cooking in cast iron. The only problem is that you're not going to saute, right? Saute means to jump. So like saute, or when you're doing something like that involves movement or stirring, cast iron really ain't your thing, man. Cast iron is beautiful when you're going to lay down, as I said, a piece of steak. You're going to put into it a chicken thigh, pancakes, roast potatoes, all that kind of stuff. They sent me a skillet called Finex, Finex. So they have a line, I guess it's called Finex. Versatile pan, cast iron, polished smooth, a searing machine, brilliant for baking. Comes with a lid if you want. That makes it good also to steam or to braise or to simmer. Again, stovetop fine, oven fine, grill good. Even put it over the coals. Good tool. I have to say, I like that product right there. Finex. Made by perfectionists, smooth vintage American iron skillets. Oh, the thing I love also, by the way, hang on a second. It comes with a handle. Hang on, I want to tell you about the handle. Oh man, here we go. Ergonomic speed cook spring handles. This is something I've never seen before. This Finex skillet, you're going to want to know the price, and they actually didn't send me the price. It could be a couple of hundred smackers. It could be less, because if you look at Marquette Castings on their website, marquettecastings.com, you'll see that the general price range for their cast iron products run anywhere from $50 to this one here, like to $200, right? So depending on what you want, but it comes with this really cool handle. It's a coil handle, and it cools pretty quickly, which is interesting. So it's a different material, obviously, from what's the cast iron, because that cast iron is not cooling quickly when you take it out of the oven. Anytime you take a hot pan out of the oven, the first thing you do this is free but important advice, right? You put a hot pan in the oven, and you lay it on top of your stove when you're done cooking it in the oven, and that pan is still 450 degrees, right? So if anybody touches it, I'm not saying they're going to the hospital, but they have serious burns. And the first thing you do when you pull your cast iron pan out of the oven and you put it back on top of the stove, because you got to pull the piece of steak or chicken off or whatever else you're going to do with it, you wrap a kitchen towel, you wrap something some other kind of a handle or some other kind of indication. It could be an oven mitt, whatever it is that works. You wrap something around that thing as a note to people that says, don't go near this thing. It's very damn hot. Finex skillet is what they sent. Excellent. Well made. Love the ergonomics. Love the lightness. The pan works. So there you go. Recommendation from me. MarquetteCastings.com. MarQuette. That's from MarquetteCastings.com. I got more products. Unbelievable. Got a ton of these things today. But I'm sure that we're going to have time to get... Wow, I really went off. I'm sure that we're going to... That's why I said it was going to be the recommendation show, but that will include recipes as soon as we get to them. Here's another product I received. I'm going to recommend. It's called Rice Medley. It's edamame, cauliflower, and sweet potato. And why is it riced? Because that's happening a lot these days, isn't it? That we're seeing things that are like cauliflower rice now. So this is made with edamame. So you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if that makes sense, right? I've had edamame before. Like, what do you mean riced edamame? It's riced and it's not rice. It's made by Sea Point Farms. Riced vegetables, 100%. Here we go. Grain-free. So grain-free is real good for those people that have any kind of gluten intolerance. Packed with nutrition, of course. Great low-carb rice substitute. Riced edamame, you can get it, I guess, straight up. You can get the one I had with cauliflower and sweet potato. I got to be honest with you, I liked it. I stuck it in probably a cast iron, fine. I dropped in a little hit of soy sauce into the thing, and I'm happy eating it. And the thing is, what is it, 110? No, better, 60 calories. Wait, let me just see what the calorie... Don't move, my people. It's 60 calories. Yeah, there are 4 servings in this thing. I mean, honestly... You could eat all 4 servings and only have had 240 calories. It's good. Edamame, cauliflower, and sweet potato from Sea Point Farms. Plant-based protein, non-GMO, obviously gluten-free, 100% vegetables. Where do you go for this? Look up Sea Point Farms. Enjoy life, eat well, Sea Point Farms. Look it up, edamame, cauliflower, and sweet potato from Sea Point Farms. I like that, so that's a recommendation for you. I got some chips sent to me. You know, I have a choice. I go, don't bother sending them, or I actually am interested in trying them. They have a choice of either sending them and whatever I say about them, you got to live with. They're not paying me for it. Wild chicken chips. And when I say wild in this case, I don't mean just W-I-L-D, which they are. They're kind of wild that you're eating chips that are made from chicken. But further to that, it's called Wild Chicken Chips, W-I-L-D-E, because that's the name of the company. What did I try from Wild? I tried... here we go. Here we go with your wild chips. Right. We ditched the potato and replaced it with real chicken. Grain-free. So you get the naked chicken chips. They call it naked. It's made with Himalayan pink salt. And they're salty, by the way. I'll tell you that. I tried the barbecue flavor. Good. I tried the jalapeno. I liked it. I tried the sea salt and vinegar. I always like sea salt and vinegar. I feel like... I didn't realize they had buffalo. I wonder if I don't remember trying the buffalo, but I would love that. Here's the thing. I liked these chips. I ate them. I ate them. I mean, I think the problem with chicken chips is that they sound weird, and people don't eat weird food. But these are made with, they're made from chicken breast. Made from chicken breast. Oh, a touch of pure maple syrup and ground cinnamon. Oh no, that's for the new thing. Oh, so here's what I want to tell you. You can go online, wildbrands.com, WILDEBRANDS.com. I liked them. I liked them, and I particularly like, as I said, I think the jalapeno was good, and I think I liked another. I don't know, sea salt and vinegar and buffalo. I found them a little bit on the salty, but I would still eat them, and they were delicious, and they're grain free, and they're made from chicken. And their new chip, by the way, you should know, is called chicken and waffles. That's the flavor that it is. So they're using a chicken breast, a touch of maple syrup, and ground cinnamon. Mouth-watering. I haven't tried those because those they did not send. I did not request those. Those are wild chicken chips. Okay, we got that. Chicken breast, a touch of tapioca, super thin, lightly fried. They're good. I'm going to tell you, I like that. Now, there's a new book coming out. I haven't read it. I haven't asked for it. It's going to come out on sale in June. It's called the I Love My Air Fryer, gluten-free recipe book. You're hearing a lot about gluten-free. That's not what I'm going to talk about right now. I think it's great. You want to have gluten-free. It's easier for you than it's ever been before. I do want to talk about my air fryer. I think I have the what do I have? The Power Air Fryer. It doesn't matter. People ask me if I like it, and the answer is I do. The air fryer is nothing more virtually than a little kind of convection oven. But here's the thing: it's not that little. What's the idea behind it? The idea behind it is that it's air frying. Theoretically, you're putting things in there like potatoes. You're not using any kind of oil, and then you turn on the high heat. It has its own kind of air circulation or convention type of method. Supposedly, it comes out kind of crispy without using any oil. I'm not 100% sure of that. I think anything is better when it has a little coating of fat on it, right? But I've used the air fryer successfully to take things like zucchini. Zucchini, you know how when it's like these days, it's like it's not riced, but like with zucchini they spiralize it. Yeah, I hit it with a shot of oil. I give it some seasoned salt, whatever. You have a couple of like breadcrumbs or pancos. You toss it around. You put it into the air fryer. 15, 20 minutes. They're good, man. Like you don't have to. Here's the point: you don't have to deep fry them to get crispy, zucchini kind of, fried zucchini strips, right? But they're essentially here baked. So I like my air fryer, but when I said that it was like a small oven, here's the thing. I buy a whole chicken, a normal sized chicken, a feed for chicken, and I season that chicken with what? Salt, good. Lemon, good. Garlic, good. And that whole chicken fits right in the air fryer. Like, not in individual pieces, the entire whole chicken into the air fryer. Highest temp, 400. Timer, 60. And that chicken, I turn it once. At 30-minute point, I turn the chicken over. Then turning it breast side up. Finish the cooking, right? So it's cooked a total of 60 minutes. Take it out of the air fryer, and it's perfection. I mean, moist, juicy, delicious chicken, cooked all the way through, every part of it with crisp skin. It's hard to get chicken that perfectly cooked in a conventional oven. This thing is like, it does it for that. So anyway, I'm not here to promote the book. That's not going to be out for another month. I'll check it out and let you know. But for those who wanted to know, do I like, my air fryer? The answer is I do. I like it predominantly to roast my chicken in it. Mother's Day is coming up this coming Sunday. You love your mother. She loves you. You can get away with sending a card. World's best mother. But you can send a gift. And don't send something, you can do whatever you want. But if there's going to be food, it's, as we discussed, it's generally going to happen in one of two ways. One way is that you go, Mom, we're going out. And if you're going out, have a nice time and power to you. Take your mama out for a meal. She deserves it. Tell her you love her. And let's move on. Now, on the other hand, how great would it be if you actually made a little meal for your mom? Come on, you can do that. Stop being such a baby. It's not hard, even if you're not a great cook. People, let's face it. It's more of an effort, but people really appreciate it. Even if what you make isn't amazing, like even if what you make is like, pancakes. Well, everybody has one dish, by the way, that they're pretty, proficient at. I can certainly help you improve whatever your dish is. I feel confident about that. Whatever it is that you make, if you're not like at a high level of cooking, if you're not an expert baker or whatever it is that you tell me you're a crummy cook, I can, chicken thighs, my friends, are the magic food. Chicken thighs are the magic food because they're virtually indestructible, to most any of us. You'd have to work really hard to ruin chicken thighs. I know you're saying, you could do it, but I'm telling you, man, there's an easy way to deal with chicken thighs. Hit them up with some flavors that you like. What do I like, Rob? Well, I like salt. That's good. Maybe you want to make it, with some rosemary, oregano, and thyme. Maybe you got that around the house. Maybe you want to make it spicy. So you hit them up with some Frank's hot sauce. You could do that. Maybe you want to make it sweet. We'll talk about that after, because I wouldn't start with sweet, but if you had chicken thighs and you had a barbecue sauce that you liked, right? You'd kind of like paint them with barbecue sauce, put them in the cast iron or in the oven or whatever, put it on high heat. What's high heat? 450. How long? Depends how good the oven is, how thick they are, but let's say 45 minutes plus or minus. Once you look at them and they're looking kind of crispy and brown, you're feeling pretty good about it. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's a half an hour. So let's say 45 minutes is the number you're looking for. And they're going to be good. By the way, when I say 45 minutes, they anything with the bone would take longer. If your chicken thighs come with the bone, like let's go, that'll be a 50-minute exercise. If they're boneless and skinless, you can bang those things out in 25 minutes with whatever flavors you like. Potatoes are easy to make. Right, because you throw a couple of those in the oven, you bake them, maybe all you have to do is serve them with some butter or some sour cream or some, what else do we like? Butter, sour cream, this kind of, cheese and easy, some veg. You want to improve your veg, roast them. You want to improve your veg, saute them with a little bit of olive oil and garlic. Squeeze them up at the end with a little bit of lemon juice or lemon zest. Want to get a little more ambitious? Make my Mother's Day lamb recipe. Roast leg of lamb. Roast leg of lamb. You can find, by the way, I'm going to tell you how to make it, even though it is one of the 100 recipes in my book, Short Order Dead. Here's what I say about roast leg of lamb. 3 ingredients to greatness. 4 if you count pepper, and I don't really count that. Who's counting pepper? You could buy the lamb on the bone, which ordinarily is kind of a better way to go because the bone brings the flavor. But I'm taking the lazy route here by using boneless because I think it's even less work. You don't have to worry about the bone. You don't have to worry about additional cooking time. You don't have to worry so much about how you carve. In fact, I don't even bother unrolling the lamb and removing any, like when you buy the lamb, and you guys know that I'm the Costco ho, so they sell they sell leg of lamb, boneless leg of lamb, and it comes all wrapped. You know what I mean? Like it's all tied up. I don't even, I don't untie it. What do you need? What do I say here? It looks, I don't cut anything about the lamb. I'm going to roast it basically as is. You don't need a ton of ingredients. In fact, I'm going to tell you that you basically only need 2. One is going to be soy sauce. The other is going to be Dijon mustard. If you have some rosemary on hand and some fresh garlic, those are your optional. So here I say, this is one of those dishes that's perfectly scrumptious on its own, that you can always add a little something extra to the table. Literally, it's called gremolata. It's an assertive mixture of parsley, lemon zest, and garlic. So if you like you super big flavor, you cut up some parsley and some lemon zest and some garlic. That's it. You mix it all around together, and you put that on a nice piece of roast lamb. People are happy. How do you make the lamb? I get you 6 to 8 servings if you buy yourself a nice 5-pound boneless leg of lamb. Maybe even more servings than that. Let's call it 8. 5-pound boneless leg of lamb. A quarter a cup of soy sauce. A quarter a cup of Dijon mustard. You with me? That's all you need. Going to have you use a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Always freshly ground. And it's because lamb likes pepper. Pepper goes well on lamb. So if you have some garlic around the house, like 3 cloves or so, that's peeled and sliced, that's good, but not necessary. If you have some chopped if you have some rosemary around the house, either dried or better even fresh, that's optional but good. The oven heats to 400. You take the soy sauce and the mustard together, half a cup of each, and you blend them, and you rub it. You take that you rub the entire lamb with that marinade. You get Dijon is French, you got soy is Asian, so you got yourself, you could tell mommy that you're doing a little bit of a Franco-Asian lamb. And then we're going to Americanize it because we're going to hit it up with some black pepper. And if we're using garlic and rosemary, we're going to put that in too. What are you going to do with the garlic? You're going to stuff it into the crevices, whole cloves, into the crevices of the leg of lamb. And if you don't have whole crevices, then then slice your garlic real thin into really thin slices, and make incisions in the actual leg of lamb. And in those incisions, place some garlic. Now, if this feels like too much work, don't worry about it, because like I said to you, all you really need is the soy and the Dijon and a good sprinkle of pepper. So the garlic is like, oh, you know what, Rob, I can handle that. Let me get some garlic and kind of insert it into the lamb. It'll bring more flavor. If you have rosemary, use it. If you don't have to worry about. The other thing I've done with this also, by the way, is I have thrown into the very same roasting pan a whole bunch of little cut up potatoes. Those potatoes can be those little baby Yukons that they sell, or you can get regular Idahos. As long as when you cut them up, you're cutting all the little potato pieces into the virtually the same size. You need all the pieces the same size so that they cook at the same time. I'll throw those into the bottom of the same pan that the lamb is in. I hit them up with a little bit of olive oil. You have the rosemary, put that on top. You have salt, put that on the potatoes. The lamb really doesn't need the salt that much because you're using soy and the Dijon, so you're fine there. You got an oven that's at 400 degrees. I put the lamb in the oven and I let it go. How long? I'll tell you what you do. And when people ask me what are the most important tools to have in the kitchen, one that will always show up in the top 3 is an instant read thermometer. And I'm telling you this because you want to cook your lamb to 130, 135. If you're looking for that kind of medium rare, it still has some lovely pinkness to it. You want to cook it a little bit, up to medium, and that's fine on lamb. You can cook it up to medium, that's fine. You're looking for basically 140, 145. You could pull it at 140 or 145. It'll cook a little bit more, and let it rest. Let it rest, my people. Hot lamb been cooking in the oven there for an hour or more? Let it sit on your carving board for 10, 15 minutes. It'll still be hot. And all that beautiful lamb flavor will regenerate back into the meat so that when you carve it, it will be perfect. It'll be soft, and it'll be somewhat pink, and it'll still have juice, and it'll have a crusty exterior that is flavorful and happy. Maybe you've put the potatoes in there as well too, and you're not going to be disappointed with roast potatoes that have, some olive oil and salt, maybe some rosemary, and the flavor of the roasting juices from the lamb. Oh man, I'm getting hungry here. What are you gonna, and maybe you've invested the extra effort into the gremolata, right? Because you've chopped up some parsley and some lemon zest and some fresh garlic, and you mix that up and you put that on top of a piece if you really want to zip up the flavor. Now you got lamb and potatoes. The only thing left for you, maybe you made some veg, maybe you make a little salad on the side. Make sure that you have maybe some baguette, not going to hurt you. Thinking about like a Pinot Noir or a Côte du Rhône or a Cabernet, because Red goes well with lamb. Not that you couldn't have a bold white if you want something cold. Who cares, man? Long as it's good, and as long as it's delicious, and as long as mom is happy, you have done the trick. You've made a Franco Asian lamb roast for your mama. Yeah, you don't have to buy the book to get that recipe. You can find it, because I am sure that if you look up Rob Rosenthal, short order dad, lamb, I don't know, it ought to show up. If it doesn't, hit me up on an email, shortorderdad@gmail.com, and go, hey, remind me, how do I make that lamb thing that sounded good? Or that chicken thigh thing you were talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, in the short time that we have together, let me tell you that it was delightful to be with you this week, live here, episode number 54 of All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness. So I urge you to have a delicious Mother's Day. Cook something for your mama. Feel free to pick up my book and gift her that. And I'll be back with you next week. Until then, remember, my friends, life is short, so never waste a meal.
I'm the Teflon Pan Man.